It's really quite beautiful here, huh? Amazing. That's a lot of snow, man. Are you rolling?
Oh, sorry. I didn't know.
Hey, I'm Gautam and I'm here in Dras with the FS7 Mark II filming.
Gautam, I don't think you're supposed to mention that.
I can't even mention why I'm here.
No.
What's the fucking... Hi, I'm Gautam and I'm here in Dras filming Himalayan brown bears and...
Gautam, I don't think you're supposed to mention that.
I can't even say why I'm here?
No.
What's the fucking point of even coming over here?
But you were told about this.
I really don't know well.
Please.
Maybe I quit. How about that?
Rolling.
So I'll tell you about my top 5 favorite features of this camera. I think the river might be a bit too loud, so maybe move closer to me and I'll tell you a bit about this. So this part of the FS7 Mark II looks completely different. 10 shortcut buttons, and I love this. I've customized each one of these, and I love that they have little groovy thing happening where you know that you're actually touching a button when you're moving against the body. And my workflow has improved. The other feature is the variable ND. This has changed the way I shoot. Earlier I was using only the knob to dial through all the different ND filters. Now with the variable, I can get in between two ND filters and really get that perfect exposure. Before I would switch and then I'd start fiddling with things like aperture to try and correct my exposure. I can leave everything else alone, and just with my variable ND I can bring it to the sweet spot that I was looking for. I've done a few tests and there's a magpie that I do want to get a shot of, and I think we'll be able to see how well it does. Maybe I'll try and do an S-Log3 version of it as well and we can compare it. Where's my cable? And just get that shot. Oh, it's eating something. Another really cool thing about the FS7 Mark II is that as you start working with it, you discover these improvements that they've done. So Sony's obviously been listening to what we were saying. So one of them is the placement of the XQD cards is better, it's easier to get out. When you switch from full frame to center on your sensor, it would switch back to HD even if you're shooting 4K. Now it goes back to 4K, and that's something that I've used over here extensively when I want to, I'm not getting the focal length that I need.
Okay, let me try and explain that a bit better. So in the field, a trick that we use to get more focal length out of your lens is to use 2K center crop. What used to happen is, if I would want to go back to full frame and still be in 4K mode, I would need to go back in the settings and re-choose 4K. But now on the Mark II, when I choose full frame, it goes back to 4K by itself.
It doesn't feel as cold as I do. The batteries are doing great in this weather. It's okay with a little bit of snow and water coming onto its body, stays true. And I'm using a pretty heavy lens over here. It's about 8 kilos. So what I love is, maybe it's better from this side. So that's the new locking mechanism, and I love this because this gives me that feeling of safety that it is holding this 8 kilo lens. Okay, day 5 of filming and it's snowing and the FS7 is wet but doing fine. This articulating arm with the viewfinder is great. In the Mark I, this is always getting in the way. It doesn't do this funny rotating thing anymore. It's really solid and I'm really loving the way this viewfinder works. Another thing about the FS7 is that it remembers the last setting that you left it on, even if it's SNQ. And I think this is for the Mark II. I don't think that Mark I did this. So yesterday I was trying to film an avalanche and I was trying to save battery, so I turned the camera off, and of course, the second I turned it off, the avalanche starts to happen. I switch it back on and it remembers SNQ, remembers 4K, remembers the frame rate I picked. All I had to do was hit record and got the shot. Okay, now I do wish I had a rain cover, but on the upside the camera has never been this clean, and the lens too. Just found a neat little feature. I don't know if the FS7 Mark I had this, but I started this time lapse basically, and it wasn't set on duration, and I didn't want to stop the time lapse now, so I gently touched menu and it let me get in to time code and change it to duration, and now I know how long my time lapse is gone for. 10 seconds, I'll have it. Great. Okay, it's raining again, so I think I'm going to get out of here now. Wow, more on the FS7 later.